thank you so much for coming on with this. How's everything been going, brother?
Yeah, right, right. Where are you?
I'm at,
Where's
you don't want to know. I'm in KC Mo, where it's 42 degrees and windy, and
yeah.
so don't even get me started about what the weather's like out there on the West Coast right now, man. Just going to
yeah.
depress me.
Yeah.
But and I'm bummed because I'm looking at all the Billy Idol dates and ready to talk to you, only to find just like moments before I turn on my computer that you guys have had to cancel the two American dates coming up in, I think, late April and May,
Yeah.
because Billy's continued situation. So how
Yeah.
is Billy doing okay? Like, kind of update us on just kind of his well being and just trying to make sure, I guess, everything's good to go before you guys go to Europe, I
Yeah.
assume.
He had a procedure done for severe sinus infection that just wasn't going away from antibiotics, and it's taken longer. And obviously, as a singer,
Yeah,
anything to do with your breathing is really crucial. So he needs time to heal up, and so that's really what's going on. And he just
yeah.
needs a bit of time to heal up. And we were originally scheduled to do the Journey tour, and it just wasn't going to happen. So we just said, you know what, let's cancel the dates, give him the time to heal up, and without the pressure of, oh God, I've got this date coming up, right? And we'll come back, we'll swing back around at some point and hit those cities and everything. But we're still scheduled for Europe, and then we go down to South America.
Yeah, which is incredible. That's going to be great. And yeah, like you said, the Journey tour, that would have been awesome. You guys have done some just tremendous tours over the last several years as the bands. I mean, you guys just continue to be such a steadying force in rock and roll. You're going to be going out in Europe for a lot of days with the Go-Go's. What
Yeah.
a cool lineup that is. That's, man, what a year not to be European for myself.
Yeah, yeah. I've known Kathy, the bass player, since God, it's got to be like '83 or so. So I'm sure there'll be some cool dinners happening. Some reminiscing, if we can remember.
That's sometimes the fun of it is you don't remember
Yeah,
to start over. And
yeah,
for you guys, I mean, this is 40 years. I mean, in July, I think July 16th is the 40th anniversary of the first album.
right.
So do you kind of anticipate doing some kind of special? I mean, I know a lot of bands love to just play the whole album front to back. I don't know if you guys have ever tackled that, but doing something special for the 40th anniversary there.
Yeah. I mean, there's a remaster of the album being put together with quite a bit of bonus stuff. That even I was surprised to see surface some recordings and stuff. So there'll be a great package to celebrate the 40th anniversary of that record. We've never done one of those, as you said,
Right.
front to back. And I've seen bands do that. And even for me, there's always some hit that there's some, hit song that doesn't get played or something, or we really like to go back and pull some obscure things or covers or things like that, rather than just do a front to back record, and especially with that record, because what do you sacrifice? Some things from Rebel Yell or Whiplash Smile or some newer things that we're working on. So I don't anticipate we'll do a complete album thing.
Yeah, I think albums front to back, it sounds good on paper and it's kind of a cool novelty, but I think I decided it wasn't for me, Steve, when I saw Motley Crue playing Time for Change on their Dr. Feelgood anniversary. I was like, you know what? Maybe we don't need to do every song from an album.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a super fan and you've seen that band,
That's true.
numerous times, let's say 12 times or so, then you're going to be like, yeah, I've seen them do all the other stuff. I'm cool with doing with them doing a front to back album thing. But for the average concert goer, I think you got to play the songs that they know. And for us, we really we try and put as much new material as possible in there, because that's what keeps us
Of
our
course.
our juices flowing.
One of my favorite things you guys did as far tour wise was, God, it's hard to think back. It's been, I guess, 3 years. My mind gets muddy for some reason, Steve. These last few years have just sort of all been a blur, unfortunately. But it was 3 years ago. You guys did a run of several dates with Bryan Adams, which was awesome.
Right.
Saw the show in Detroit. Would you guys ever revisit that again? That's something that I think would do great business across the country. You got like 6 or 7 dates maybe out of that. It's just a great bill that was.
Yeah, it was, and it had been the seeds were planted quite a while before that, because we were on a festival date with and Brian happened to be on it, and he comes strolling in the dressing room, and him and Billy are doing Elvis songs, and Brian and his guitar player have also a 40-year partnership, and we said, we got a lot in common, we should tour together. So and it was great. It was a great audience that I think was obviously grew up with those tunes in the same era, obviously the 80s, and I think it was a really great evening, and a lot of camaraderie, and man, is he good.
Oh yeah, about both, and just both acts, and like you said, there was a lot of parallels there, so that was tremendous.
There are, yeah.
But for you guys coming up, of course, you are working on a follow-up EP to the Roadside EP, as I understand it. So, kind of just give us an update. What's going on there? The Roadside EP was something that kind of came out, and man, it was like it took the rock world by storm. Critics, fans, all on board. Thought it was great. So, what are you kind of working on for this follow-up? What can we kind of expect coming up here on that?
Yeah, we kind of, we fell into a way of working with that record. It was Butch Walker who produced it, but it kind of opened up our eyes. Butch had suggested some other writers to work with, and etc. He introduced us to Tommy English and Joe Yaniak, and so when it was time to, we said, hey man, we had a great time doing that. Butch had just moved back to, I believe, Nashville, outside of Nashville. Or Atlanta. He'll kill me. We'll
edit that out.
I'm from Atlanta, man. But we continue to work, and Tommy English, and also Zach Cervini, who's if you Google him, he's
great.
His credits are fantastic, and he's a real guitar nut. So. It was all the stuff's recorded. It's been mastered. It's kind of the other side of what we do. It's definitely harder edged. I think there was a lot of very personal things for Billy to express, in a way to do that on the Roadside. And this is kind of the other side of it. It's definitely a bit more raucous and screaming and yelling and carrying on. So I'm excited for it.
Well, was there ever a thought of just kind of doing one album in there? Why did you want to kind of break them up the way you've done it?
Well, back in the day, we'd go in and record a record, and from the time that maybe some of the initial songs were written to the time that it's released could be a year or even longer, right? And you're kind of like, that we're already on to something new, and what doing an EP does for us, it allows us to get music out very quickly from when it's completed and written, and it's pertinent, and we're still excited about it, and so doing these EPs, I mean, we literally we're talking within 3 months you have your music out, in some cases sooner. So we like the immediacy of it, and we're going to continue to do this, and obviously we'll package something, down the line where everything is collected on a long player.
Well, you kind of alluded to it. Music, the music business evolves. It's evolved in so many ways, so it's good to keep up with it. I mean, to me, I'm around a lot of high school students. I mean, they find every single song that they know, they found it was on YouTube or Spotify or whatever. So like, it's a different world, like, and it's almost like videos are so important. I mean, I know that's visually, you guys are always on the forefront of that too. So I'm assuming the visual aspect, the videos will be there, and we can certainly look forward to that. So very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, great.
So for you, it's, not as if you haven't been busy yourself, of course, as always, but I got to talk about Crazy Train, which is a flamenco tribute to Randy Rhoads that you did with the 6-string Revolution, which I didn't realize that Janet Robin, which is Randy Rhoads' only female guitar student, she was like 8 or 9 years old, is a part of this, like kind of started it. Talk about the impetus of this and kind of how you got involved, because this song was awesome. I love the version, and it was released like right after Randy would have turned 65, I believe.
Right, right. I mean, I think the germ of it was that Tom Morello had really spearheaded getting Randy inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I guess to coincide with that, the Six-String Revolution said, we're going to reinterpret. Janet, as you mentioned, was one of Randy's students, and anybody who knows anything about Randy Rhoads knows he studied classical guitar. Even I remember reading that while he was out on tour with Ozzy, he'd go to seek out classical guitar teachers so he could continue to study. So when I was contacted, they said we're doing a Spanish guitar version of Crazy Train, and I said, well, first of all, probably Randy would have dug that,
Yeah.
And second of all, I'm not being asked to recreate what the master did and what is the etched in stone as I mean, you're not gonna better what Randy did, but to reinterpret it's another way of looking at it, and I think it turned out really cool. There's something about Randy's solos and the way he composed them. There's an element of Spanish guitar always in there, so it was a kind of a no-brainer for me.
Oh, it's such a fun song. It's like something, I've played for people. I'm just like, hey, what song is this? And they're like, wait, that's not Crazy Train, is yeah.
Right.
Oh, a great song, and it's up on YouTube. You can check it out. It's on as a digital single. So I would implore everyone to do so. What's kind of else on the horizon for you? I mean, 2022, kind of in a perfect world, you get this. The Billy Idol's recording part is done. What else is kind of on the horizon for you? Any solo stuff coming up? What do you got going on?
Yeah, I'm sure there will be after the European tour. Actually, after South America, I'll be putting together ideas for another solo record. But I've used the time, the down COVID time.
Yeah.
I'm introducing a new signature amplifier with Friedman amplifiers, and there's some other stuff on the tech side that I'm working on that'll see light of day this year for guitar players, and because the by and large the way guitarists are recording now, the everything can be done in small spaces, and I'm really intrigued by that, and the way people are touring now is different with gear and stuff. So it's a lot of tools available to guitar players finally that I'm really interested in developing. So some of those things will come out this year.
That's really important too, because I was going to ask you, do you think that albums will ever be recorded with a band live in a studio ever again? Is that something that's just gone by the wayside with how things have been done? Because 90% of the artists, that I talked to are like, oh yeah, we knocked that album out. I never saw any of the guys. We sent it all over Dropbox and all that. Do you think that will ever become a thing again, or is it?
I think if you're a rock band, yeah. I mean, obviously for hip hop and some pop element, pop things, it's not that important. You're not trying to capture the energy of a band. For us, with both EPs that we've done now, it's all of us in a room together, because that's the way we've always done it, and that's what fires us up. That's what we look for in a song. Okay, we're in a room. Do we have something? Because it starts, the germs of the ideas with Billy and myself, or anybody that we're writing with, is always a couple of guys with a couple of acoustic guitars, and what's been on your mind lately? Okay, here's an idea. Here's a theme. Okay, put some chords to it. Okay, now we have something a little bit. Now it's time for the band to come in, and that's where you bring it to life. So that will always be for us the way we do it.
I know, and it sounds so old school, yet it's just the way so many rock bands, that's just the way that you record albums. I mean, it's just so strange the way things.
I think out of necessity, because of COVID, that people are flying files, and certainly there's nothing wrong with that. But if you are a band, you're gonna want to hang out with your mates and stuff. We actually like our band members.
Yeah. Maybe that's the rarity here. Maybe that's what we've tapped into. Well, Well, Steve, I asked you about this, like, and I was looking at it. I think it was like 4 years ago. We had you on. I just kind of casually asked you, like, hey, there's a new Top Gun movie. Have you done anything with the theme or whatever? Well, it's now coming out, and something tells me your answer is going to be the same as it was 4 years ago, which is that you've never been approached or heard nothing about it. But that theme, as God is my witness, is in the trailer. It's a more of a version, but I assume they never reached out. Nothing.
No, I met with Harold Faltermeyer, who's the writer, the composer, and I gave him my blessings to pull whatever he needs from the original multi-track. The last thing I would want to go in and do is recreate something that I won a Grammy for. Okay,
right.
I'm gonna do it even better this time. But that maybe maybe my guitar tracks are put into a different context or whatever. Basically just said, Harold, use whatever you need for it. But I'll be surprised as anyone to see what's used and what may not be used.
Yeah, it's kind of like there's been kind of like the trailer kind of shows just like how trailers do. They give you that little rip. And there's something about those chords when you hear them together, it elicits maybe a response that I can't link to any other piece of music. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because, I'm 38. So Top Gun came out when I was very young. And I just kind of remember being a very small child seeing that. Maybe I have an association with it that I don't with other things. But that right there, that you talk about winning a Grammy for that. I mean, how important, how amazing. And the fact that when you still in a Billy Idol show could whip out part of that in your solo, people's eyes light up every time. It's like it's just an infection.
Yeah, I mean, it's when as an artist. I mean, I've been doing this long enough to have this happen a couple of times, and something that you're involved in becomes part of the pop culture. And certainly, Top Gun is a movie which is so ingrained in the '80s culture. Yeah. Not only the movie, but the soundtrack spawned so many hits for so many bands, and that theme. I mean, Harold Faltermeyer is genius at doing that, and all credit goes to him for capturing that. And he did that with Beverly Hills Cop, and that's what he's great at. But that doesn't. You can't predict that,
right?
You can't predict that that's going to become part of culture, pop culture, or something, and. Same is true with a lot of the Billy Idol catalog, with the classic songs, and when you play them now, you're not just playing the song, you're playing for each person their life experiences at that time, and they remember back when their parents were telling them shut that damn thing off, or or whatever, and I love that. I love to be a part of that. I love to stir the emotions of our fans and listeners.
And you've done it for so long, Steve. I got to ask you about Atomic Playboys 1989 because I'm an unabashed fan. I find a way to ask you about it every time I have you on. I'm just going to continue to do so because that's one of those albums that it resonates. I think it was tremendous. I think it was overlooked. When you go back to that, do you feel like that you would ever even revisit that kind of a style of an album? You've done Flamenco a Go-Go. You've done so many different types of things. Your playing is just so tremendous and respected, but would you ever kind of revisit that kind of style, that over the top, just pop sound? Like it was so good. I'm just
yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, what surprised me is about 3.5 years ago, I think, maybe 4 now. I did a solo tour in Europe, and
that's right.
And I performed some of the material from Atomic Playboys, just because I like the tunes, and the band that I had together was shit hot, and I thought, well, these guys are going to really play it. And the response from the audience really took me by surprise. Would you like to see me revisit it?
Clearly, I only think about it every time we talk. I'm like, Atomic Playboys, remember Perry McCarty, 1989? I think so. I mean,
I don't necessarily be the same cast of characters, but
right.
as you mentioned, to do something maybe in that style, that full out, it's incredible that, you know, the title of that band came from 1950s footage of the U.S. was performing atomic nuclear testing, and they accused the scientists of being atomic playboys, and they were saying we're not just, you know, we're willy-nilly throwing, you know, detonating bombs, and here we are, you know, 2022, and all I see on the news is the threat of nuclear war. It hasn't changed. So some of the themes that I touched on that record are still with us, and maybe it's time to revisit that, you know, kind of setting.
Yeah, we'd probably have to change the name, given the parlance of our time. I don't know that would fly, just because anything could be thrown out these days. I mean, you can't say boy or girl at Disneyland. I've just learned.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, so, you know, that's, but you know, come on, but songs like Power of Suggestion, I mean, that was totally like a complete mind blow at the time. That was off kilter from kind of the tone. So, yeah, I mean.
Yeah, which, you know, I almost forgot about, you know, it's been so long, I forgot about some of the songs, and I happened to turn the channel on, and Ace Ventura came on.
Yeah, exactly.
I go, oh, I know that's from Atomic Playboys, and so yeah, I mean, even for me, it's you know, perspective, looking back at it, you know, it's I like the tunes, I enjoy playing them, as I said on my solo thing, and
yeah,
and never say never. So
I thought they should have used Pet the Hot Kitty, but you know, it was still great. Before we let you go, Steve, I got to ask you, because, you know, I'm someone, you know, I'm 38. So like, I kind of come in, you know, later on, you know, I'm born in 84. So all these bands that I revere. And
wow. Okay. Gotcha.
You know, I'm this young guy. You wouldn't know it by my hair. I mean, if I could have your hair, man, I'd sign up for it, and I would take the 20 plus years of age, but
it's a pain in the ass.
No, looks great. You look great, by the way. You know, you lose your heroes. It's part of what life is about. It's part of music. You know, your heroes aren't around forever. It's sobering, but obviously we just lost Taylor Hawkins from Foo Fighters, and just what a tremendous drummer. I just didn't know if you ever kind of had crossed paths with Taylor, had any stories or anything. I mean, it's just been, it's still so new and so surreal that it's just kind of hard, but I just thought I'd see if you had any Taylor stories.
I mean, you know, there are musicians, and there are, you know, musicians that pass on. Then there's guys like Taylor Hawkins, who's a superstar in every way. I'll tell you my Taylor Hawkins story. I'm a huge, I love digging out obscure progressive rock bands from the 60s and 70s. Because now you can, you know, with YouTube, there's footage and all this.
Sure.
And I had missed a band called Captain Beyond. They were an American progressive rock band with a drummer who had actually come from the Johnny Winter band. And I saw a photograph of Taylor Hawkins, and he had Captain Beyond written on his bass drum head. And I went, what's Captain Beyond? What's that? And I got the record, and I was floored. How did I miss this? And if anyone wants to hear an incredible, absolutely incredible, especially the, you know, it's obvious why Taylor would have liked it. The drummer is incredible. And so when I met Taylor, I said, we had a mutual friend, obviously, and some of the musicians, Dave Navarro and Chris Chaney, who I've worked with. And I said, I have to thank you, because you turned me on to Captain Beyond. Well, that opened the whole thing of him loving Yes and Genesis and being a prog head like me. And then all we did from, we're backstage at a festival, and all we're doing is trying to outwit each other on obscure progressive rock bands. And
I love that.
The sweetest guy, and I mean, I'm sure, you know, everybody has been saying that, but the guy really had a light and an exuberance for music. It seemed he had never forgotten to be a fan of the music. And what I mean, if Dave Grohl's gonna have a drummer, you know the guy's gonna be just exceptional. And Taylor, I mean, it's my friends who are much closer to him than I are really having a hard time with it, because he was that friggin' special. He you know, and he worked with everybody. If you look at all the musicians that he's worked with, because he really loved playing with his heroes, you know. So Really tough one, man. Really, really tough one. We've lost a number of musicians, and some that I didn't know, but I knew the music, like
Sure.
Gary Brooker from Procol Harum. I grew up on those songs and everything, and it means something to me. But it's not like how this hit home.
I mean, and it's, think about just something simple, not saying simple, but like what Billy's going through. It's like, you got to take care of your health. You age, you get older, you got to take care of it. I think a lot of musicians, maybe you could speak to this, just you're out touring, you're writing, it's just, it's a crazy 365 kind of a deal to just go, oh, I need to go schedule a doctor's appointment, or I need to go check on this. Like, I think, professional wrestlers, athletes kind of go through this, and maybe some awareness needs to be raised for that.
I mean, the scariest part for me is that all the guys, I'll be 63, and a lot of the guys in my age bracket, we're kind of the elder statesmen now, and who's going to pick up the mantle?
Yeah.
I think the nature of the business and the nature of the blueprint that we always followed, even when I joined up with Billy Idol, who already had a record deal, and we had a little bit of a salary. I remember I got my first salary, $250. But hey, that paid for pizza and a couple of cab rides, and but we got in a room and we rehearsed, and then we got and played in front of people. We played in Max's Kansas City, wherever. And that was the way that we did it. And that is the way that you become a great band, is to just get out and do it. And I'm looking, for the next generation, because it's not going to happen on YouTube. It's not going to happen for some kid who's got an incredible technical ability on the guitar and makes a video and puts it out there and gets 500,000 hits on it. That's great, but the guitar is not a gymnastic event. Go join a band, write songs, get out there, play it in front of people, because you have to communicate that to an audience. It's not just about, isn't that impressive technically?
That's extremely well said, and I completely agree. And I always have hope, because rock and roll is in my blood. I always have hope. There's always musicians, there's always bands that I feel like that can come out to the forefront. There's some out there now. But, you mentioned Genesis. They just played their last show like the other night. And I'm like, I love Phil Collins because he could be self-deprecating at times. Like, he's obviously, his health has been failing him. He's had problems, and he's just like, you know what? I got through this. He did a solo tour called I'm Not Dead Yet.
Yeah, right.
This tour, The Last Domino. And it's like, man,
yeah.
Genesis is a band I got into kind of later, because I was like, Prague wasn't really in my number. I even kind of ignored Rush in my early days. Steve, don't kill me. But man, that stuff has grown on me so much. Genesis has become one of my favorite bands of all time, and now the last domino has fallen for Banks, Collins, and Rutherford. So there you go. Kind of speaks to your point, where these moments are fleeting.
I mean, obviously, for those that don't know, Phil's had health issues, has to sit down, can't play drums. What I'm interested in is what his son Nick is going to do now. Yeah. Because his son sat in for drums, and the clips that I've seen, unfortunately, I didn't get to see them on this tour, but his son's an incredible drummer. So I'm hoping that Nick Collins is going to form a band with some other like-minded, because Genesis had great songs. Yes, it was progressive rock, and they had the whole era of Peter Gabriel with crazy costumes and everything. But at the heart of it, they were great songwriters. And I think if you're adventurous musically, you have to remember to play stuff. You have to include melody in it. And now Nick's had the experience of playing in arenas and all that. And let's see what he does now,
Absolutely. Well, Steve, as always, can't thank you enough for hopping on here on the Road to Rock. It is always a pleasure. Tell the lovely Josie I said hello. She is.
I will do. Yeah.
She's the best, man. Great. She's awesome. And always appreciate her. She always behind the scenes, man. She does a lot of great stuff. She's helped us so much just in getting in touch with you to start everything years and years ago. So
great.
Big shout out to her. Thanks so much. And can't wait to see what you guys all have coming up. Hope to see you here in the States here in the next year or so, man.
We'll definitely be out there. It's a little quiet right now, but we'll be out there.
There's your blabbermouth headline. Thank you, Steve, so much, man.
All right, great. Thank you.
Thanks, brother.
All right.